Huaxia Country, the second ring road of Kyoto City, on the edge of Tianhe Square stands an 88story prosperous office building. Is prosperous because it belongs to the second ring of Kyoto. You should know that let alone the second ring road, it is a large toilet area on the third ring road. You can easily buy a two-bedroom and own a living house in other cities. Not to mention such an office building on the second ring road, you can imagine the value of this place. Although it is a bit expensive, China has never lacked rich people since ancient times, not to mention the talented city of Kyoto. In addition, to the south of the office building is the famous Tianhe Antique Market in the country, and to the north is a well-known flower and bird market, which creates a large number of people coming and going here every day. Tianhe Office Building, a room by the window on the 8th floor. A young boy about 20 years old who looks very delicate is looking at a leather scroll in his hand and muttering to himself. Oh! I don't know if it will work. While watching, the boy frowned. No matter what, the materials are ready anyway, let's try it. There shouldn't be any danger. After thinking for a while, the boy seemed to have finally made up his mind. Then, he took out the materials he had prepared from the cabinet on one side. A piece of black dog's blood, a brush made of wolf hairs, which is said to be more than 100 years old, and a piece of fine yellow paper of approximately normal size, and a set of standard Taoist painting amulet equipment. After the things were ready, the boy took out an old leather roll from the safe on one side. Looked at the leather roll in his hand, the boy scratched his head and was worried again. There are 3 patterns on the scroll, which are crisscrossed and out of order. All of them look extremely complicated, and I don't know where to start. Forget it, let's draw this. Looked at it, the boy picked out one of the patterns that seemed a little simpler, looked at it carefully, and after confirming that he had remembered the direction of each pattern stroke in his heart, he picked up the wolf pen on one side. Then, the boy soaked up the black dog blood in the bowl with the wolf howling pen. Looked at the pattern on the leather roll without worry, and focused his eyes on the painted yellow paper. Damn, how failed! I just prepared such a piece of yellow paper. Seeing that it was about to be completed, but found that the yellow paper was too small, the boy's meal, the pattern was immediately messed up. Looking at the messy yellow paper and blood stains on the table, the boy was depressed and wanted to scold his mother. Wanting to return, the boy randomly crumpled the scrapped yellow paper into a ball and threw it into the garbage dump. Then, I was going to go to the antique market to buy more yellow paper. But when the teenager was about to go out, he suddenly thought of it when he looked at the white floor, playing with it. Why should I waste time going out to find yellow paper? I originally wanted to try if this pattern is a legendary formation. Isn't it the same? Furthermore, the paper in the store where the talisman paper is sold is so big that you can't draw these patterns at all. I guess even if I went there, I couldn't find a suitable yellow paper. Hey, I'm so smart, just try drawing on the floor. Thinking about this, the boy slapped his head excitedly and exclaimed happily. Just do as he thinks. The boy stopped thinking about going out and happily went to the floor in front of the desk. With a bowl in one hand and a writing brush in the other, the young man squatted on the ground. Closed his eyes and carefully recalled the pattern on the leather scroll in his heart. When he opened his eyes, he saw a flash of light inside. Then I saw the brush that had been stained with black dog blood in the young man's hand, drawing on the floor like lightning. Brushing the dragon snake, with the boy's hand, blood-red strokes appeared on the floor, and in a blink of an eye a pattern that looked very strange, but on the mysterious leather scroll, was exactly the same except for the size. Said it was strange, it was because the pattern on the floor looked like a 4-part pattern. Is not like a picture, not like a picture, not like a word, not like an object. But if you look closely, it feels amazing. Wang Zhen, the leader is looking for you. Just when the boy had just finished the last stroke, before he came and took a closer look, suddenly a voice came out of the room. Wow, here comes it. Leave Dabao, the team leader is looking for me. As the sound fell, there was a flash of silver light, and a silver-white mouse appeared on his shoulder. When the young man heard that the group leader was looking for him, he quickly put down the pen and black dog blood in his hand, and walked towards the door without looking back. Yes, Wang Zhen, this is the name of the boy. Wang Zhen was an orphan since he was a child. He didn't even know who his parents were. According to the cruel reality, that winter, he was just born not long at all. If it hadn't been for a scavenger who happened to hear his cry, he would have died that night. The days that followed, he had already forgotten. He only knew that he grew up in an orphanage, and his name was also taken with the help of the old man who kindly sent him to the orphanage. Until he was 11 years old, if he hadn't awakened his abilities accidentally, maybe he was just a member of the outside struggling to make a living. After awakening the ability, because he was in the capital, he was quickly discovered by the Dragon Group. So, soon the King formation was secretly adopted by the Dragon Group. The Tianhe office building where Wang Zhen is now located is the headquarters of the most mysterious Dragon Group in Kyoto. After entering the Dragon Group, it was not as comfortable as Wang Zhen thought. The ability players who just entered have to go through multiple trainings before they can become important members of the Dragon Group. The level of abilities is ranked in alphabetical order, from the lowest F, to E, D, C, B, A, S, SS and the highest SSS. The abilities that have just awakened are generally the lowest level of F. A few people with good talents are at or C when they first awaken, and some super geniuses are B or A when they first awaken. For example, the leader of the Dragon Group, I heard that he was A level when he first awakened the ability, and now he has broken through the A level, entered this level, and became the top Named ability master in the world. Generally speaking, the level of the person at the time of awakening determines the future potential of the person. These are the theories obtained by the seniors of the Dragon Group through experiments. Then, the resources used for promotion are divided according to the level of the ability at the beginning of the awakening. In other words, the higher the level at the beginning of the awakening, the more resources can be used. However, these can only be used for general and common abilities, but for some special abilities, special treatment is required. For example, space abilities, time abilities, and other abilities that are rarely seen. Even though the level of awakening of these abilities is very low, no one dares to underestimate them. In the Dragon Group, the treatment of the special ability level is the same as the ab-level ability level genius. And the King formation, he is a person with special abilities. Cell control. This is the power of the King formation. Although it was just a common F grade at the beginning of awakening, after entering the Dragon Group, the treatment of the King formation is still the same as those genius awakeners. However, these benefits disappeared 2 years ago. Because, after a long period of training and inspection, the people in the Dragon Group discovered that the power of the King formation has only increased by 1 level, that is, E. You need to know that even those with supernatural powers who came in the same year as the King formation, even if they were F when they first awakened, after a long period of resource support and high-intensity training, the lowest level 1 is now D level. While the resources used by the King formation are still 10 times that of others, it is still E, which makes those in the Dragon Group very disappointed with the King formation. If it weren't for the later discovery that the cell control ability of the King formation could not fight, but it could help the abilities to heal the wounds, it is estimated that the treatment would be worse. So, Wang Zhen soon won the title of Dairy Cow. What is a cow? People who often play online games know that the cow refers to the priest in some games, who specializes in treating people's illnesses and injuries as logistics. This makes the King formation very helpless, but after a long time, the King formation doesn't care. Who tells you that you can't improve your level? This is the thought in the heart of Wang Zhen. However, all of this was resolved after encountering the treasure hunter Dabao 2 years ago. The current Wang Zhen's ability has already reached the C level, but no one knows it yet. Speaking of Dabao, I have to talk about it 2 years ago. Because the power cannot be improved, and the power of the King formation is not the ability to fight, so in the third year of entering the Dragon Group, the treatment of the King formation becomes the same as that of ordinary Dragon Group members. Can't fight, and the Dragon Group has very few missions, so the King formation becomes very idle. So, the antique market and the flower and bird market nearest to Tianhe Square became the best place for him to spend his time. And the treasure hunting mouse big treasure is Wang Zhen accidentally encountered in the flower and bird market. After dinner, Wang Zhen went to the flower and bird market as usual. Who knew that when he was passing by a stall selling small pets, a touch of silver suddenly came into his eyes. Wang Zhen looked at it, and it turned out to be a silver mouse. The mouse is not big, about the size of a child's palm, with silver hair all over it, shining with charming brilliance, and his two eyes are gazing at the pedestrians. While Wang Zhen was looking at it, the mouse also looked at him with wide eyes, and he was not afraid of life at all. "Boss? You mouses died? I have never heard of silver mice." Wang Zhen carefully observed the mouse and asked with interest. "I don't know, this mouse was caught on the mouse trap at home yesterday. It was like this when I caught it. I think it just got a little injury on its hind leg. Besides, it looks good. It doesn't look like a mouse in the house. It may be a scarce species, so I just used it to see if anyone wanted it. Maybe I can exchange 2 more money. Know that there are so many people who like weird things in this world." The boss glanced at Wang Zhen, narrowed his eyes, and replied. "So anyone buys it?" Wang Zhen asked while reaching for the silver mouse in the cage. "Hey, be careful, don't." The boss was shocked when he saw Wang Zhen go to get the mouse. However, seeing the mouse obediently staying in the palm of the king's formation, he swallowed it back when he was worried. "Some people buy it there. I have asked a lot, but I suspect it is died, so no one has bought it yet. Why don't I give you a cheaper price, can you take it?" The boss saw that Wang Zhen was very interested in this mouse, and then his eyes flickered, and he happily promoted it. "You see, it has a relationship with you, stay in your palm, don't run or bite. Why don't you give me 100 yuan, you will take it away, absolutely pure natural silver, no dyeing and hot." It is strange to say that when Wang Zhen picked up the mouse, it did not run or make trouble, but looked at him with its innocent little eyes. "Hey, this mouse is so strange, there is a kind of energy fluctuation in its body that is similar to that of a supernatural person." When was holding the mouse, when his mental power swept over the body of the mouse in front of him unintentionally, Wang Zhen exclaimed psychologically. Could it be that animals can also have abilities? Wang Zhen couldn't help thinking. No matter what, let's buy it first. The province is found and bought by others. Seeing the boss's casual words, Wang Zhen didn't even think about it. He paid 100 yuan and left with the mouse. Left the messy boss in the booth, and I have never seen such a bold customer. And Dabao became the name of the mouse after paying the money. No one knows that the famous treasure hunter in the cultivation world has just become the pet of the king formation. Wang Zhen, who just bought the mouse, only raised Dabao as a pet. Until one time, after Dabao recovered from his injury, Wang Zhen took it to the antique market. Dabao suddenly pounced on a piece of jade in an antique stall, screaming and refused to leave. When Wang Zhen looked at it, he suddenly remembered the energy of Dabao's body. Only then did he remember that Dabao was not an ordinary mouse. Seeing Dabao's appearance, Wang Zhen picked up the piece of jade in Dabao's hand. Squeak squeak! Seeing Wang Zhen took the jade from his hand, Dabao pointed at the jade with his small paw, and pointed at himself, as if saying that it was mine. "Oh, what a funny little mouse! Brother, buy one. I have all the authentic ancient jade here. I can buy one for the townhouse, ward off evil spirits, and keep safe." The boss on one side saw someone coming and showed his teeth. Exaggerated Dabao, and then boasted full of boasts. Hee, let me read it later. In the antique market all the year round, Wang Zhen also knows that the stall owner's words are all fake, and they are not broken. Then, he carefully picked up the ancient jade that Dabao had just held, and looked at it intently. Wow! What a pure energy! While concentrating, Wang Zhen used his mental power without knowing it, but he did not expect to find a lot of gentle energy in this piece of jade. You must buy it. This was Wang Zhen's first thought. Boss, how do you sell this jade? Wang Zhenjuang asked for the price at will. This is an ancient jade from the Tang dynasty. Okay, boss, stop boasting. Also the ancient jade of the Tang dynasty. I think this piece is not even a new jade. I have been here for a few years. Just buy it and use it as a decoration. Seeing that the boss was going to talk about it again, Wang Zhen quickly interrupted. This. The boss looked at Wang Zhen, and he didn't look like a rich man. So I was afraid that the high bid would scare him away, so I thought for a while and said, then, you can give 100, right to make friends. Okay, when Wang Zhen heard it, he happily took out the money, picked up the jade and left. The boss looked dumbfounded. I thought that Wang Zhen would continue to bargain, but he didn't expect that he would pay for it so neatly, and angrily cursed himself for not wanting more. After going back, Wang Zhen went through a trial. Unexpectedly discovered that the energy in jade could be absorbed by him. What surprised him more was that he discovered that after absorbing the energy in jade, his abilities also showed signs of improvement. And these are Dabao's credit, so that night, Dabao also added a meal, 3 sets of KFC family buckets. It's strange to say that Dabao doesn't like to eat anything else, so he likes to eat KFC. In the following days, after taking Dabao to the antique market several times, Wang Zhen also confirmed Dabao's ability, that is, treasure hunting. CAI is not exposed, let alone such a weird mouse. Therefore, the other members of the dragon group knew that the king array raised a mouse, but they didn't know that this mouse also had abilities. With the mouse that can hunt for treasures, plus the ability to improve, the king's battle over the past 2 years is a good wind. And the picture scroll that I just took in the room is what Wang Zhen and Dabao gained in the antique market today. After verification, the king formation suspected that the pattern on the scroll was the legendary formation method, which is why the king formation used black dog blood to paint. Of course, the method of using black dog blood was not what Wang Zhen remembered, but he accidentally saw it in online movies. Putting down the black dog blood and wolf howling pen in his hand, Wang Zhen shouted at the bed. Dabao is gone, the team leader is looking for me. Then, I saw a flash of silver light, and a silver-white mouse appeared on the shoulder of the king formation. Squeak squeak! Dabao screamed at Wang Zhen, then pointed to his stomach. It seems to say, I can go with you, but I am hungry and I want to eat KFC. Okay. Foodie, I'll buy you KFC family bucket later. Watching Dabao's movements, Wang Zhen said silently. I don't know why, others can't understand the meaning of Dabao's squeak, but he can understand every time. Dabao on his shoulder squeaked happily on his shoulder when he heard that Wang Zhen agreed. Then, he climbed on top of his head and grabbed his hair, like a victorious general, and walked to the office of the leader of the dragon group with the king formation. Wang Zhen didn't know. Just when he left, the pattern painted with black dog blood on the floor began to light up slightly. Then, I saw that the moonlight outside the window seemed to be attracted by the pattern, and it rushed toward the pattern at a speed that could be seen with the naked eye. And that pattern, no, it should be said that it is the formation method, and it gradually becomes brighter. And these, because of a coincidence, the king array didn't even see it. An hour later, Wang Zhen walked out of the team leader's office happily. Haha, Dabao, I finally become a full member of the dragon team. Just walked out of the office. Wang Zhen couldn't help calling Dabao happily. You must know that because the power level cannot be improved, the king formation has not only been unable to become an official member of the dragon team for so many years, but also has to bear the irony and sarcasm of those who are better than him. If it were ordinary people, it would have been a long time ago. But the king formation who grew up in the orphanage would not, because he knew from an early age that this world is a world where the weak can eat the strong. If you are not strong enough, then you'd better have a super tolerant mentality. This is his creed. Squeaking, Dabeo responded happily. Although can't speak, but from its movements and eyes, Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com can see that it is also happy for itself. He. Wang Zhen smirked and walked towards his room. But at this moment, he didn't know that the unknown formation in the room seemed to be full of energy and was in a state that could be activated at any time. The office of the leader of the dragon group was not far away. In a blink of an eye, Wang Zhen came to the door of his house. Then, he opened the door and walked into the house. Squeak squeak. As soon as he opened the door, the big treasure on the shoulder of Wang Zhen shouted. Danger, don't! Wang Zhen turned his head to look at Dabeo, but his feet stepped out subconsciously. Then, he also had a sense of danger. Just about to go back, but it was too late. In the blur, Wang Zhen only saw a familiar pattern covering him, and then fainted. In other words, when the foot of the king formation stepped into the pattern of unknown formation, that formation has also started. Afterwards, I saw a burst of light flashing, and the Dabeo and king formation that were enveloped by the formation method disappeared. Only the bare floor and the black dog blood on one side were left, and the formation pattern on the floor seemed to have never existed. In this way, Wang formation and Dabeo disappeared in the room, leaving only the leather scroll with 3 formations in the empty room. And here, when the formation is moving, the leader of the dragon group who was in the office suddenly felt a strong energy and was very close to him, and then he arrived at the king's room with a teleport. It's a pity that he was still late, only to see a flash of light flashing, the king formation disappeared from the room. And at this moment, he also looked at the skin scroll on one side. Pluto Sea Star is a planet on the edge of the realm of cultivation. As for why it is called this name, it is no longer possible to verify it. Because as early as 10,000 years ago, I don't know what major changes have occurred. The interstellar teleportation array leading to the realm of cultivation was all destroyed. At the same time, a lot of materials about cultivation have been lost since then. Many people have speculated that the name Hades is related to Hades, one of the 3 most dangerous places on the planet. 4 dangerous places in the underworld: the underworld is the first, the monster forest is the second, and the Buddhist ruins are the third. Outside the monster forest, the dark tide is raging at dusk. This moment is a moment when herbivores take the opportunity to drink water and forage, and it is also a moment when some carnivorous monsters hunt. Generally speaking, as long as the monsters in the monster forest pass the transformation period, they will transform into half humans and half beasts, and they have the right to enter the inner circle. The inner circle is forbidden to tear and kill, so in the eyes of the monster, as long as it enters the inner circle, there is no need to worry about losing life at all times. But there are also some monsters that are born with a trace of alien, fairy, or sacred beast blood. Although they have already passed the transformation period, they still cannot be transformed. Moonlight crocodile is one of them. It possesses a trace of alien beast blood. Although it has passed the transformation period and has condensed the demon pill, it is still on the periphery. Actually, in general, its realm can completely enter the inner circle and enjoy the treatment of the core monster. But, it dare not take risks. The reason is that it has a baby in its body, and it is relying on it that in just a few decades, from a small crocodile that has just opened up, it becomes a big crocodile in the golden era. Although it did not enter the inner circle, the moonlight crocodile was not bad at all. It occupies a large water pool on the outside. It does not have to worry about food at all. Every night, there will be a large number of herbivorous monsters that need to drink water. At that time, it's a chance to hunt. It is boring, and even gave this water pool a poetic name, Yingyuetan. Beside the Yingyu Lake, various herbivores are drinking water. There are things that look like a deer or not a deer, and some that look like a sheep or a sheep, all kinds of strange shapes, animals that have never appeared on the earth, everything. Not far behind them, a large number of carnivores are also looking for dinner tonight. There is no simple monster that can live to the present. If you are not careful, you may capsize in the gutter. So, finding a good goal is really important. Full moon. There was a sudden fluctuation in space over the silent Yingyu Lake. See you, whether it is the monster beast still drinking water, or the monster beast about to hunt, they seemed to feel the aura of danger and fled towards the distance one after another. At this time, after the fluctuation was over, a burst of light flashed, and a person appeared above the water pool out of thin air. After the king formation accidentally stepped into the formation, there was no time to react. He only felt that his eyes were dark, and then there was a feeling of tearing in his body. If it was someone else, he might die before reacting. But he, who has cell powers, felt that the cells were torn, and immediately used his powers subconsciously. In a blink of an eye, the torn wounds all over his body healed. But before he could react, the feeling of tearing came over again. There is no other way but to continue to use supernatural energy to help heal. Tear, heal, tear, heal. I don't know how long it took, and the pain became more and more intense, just when the king formation felt that he was about to be unable to bear the pain of the tearing. The treasure hunter on the side of seems to be asleep, and there is nothing at all. I only saw a series of space blades disappearing in its body as if it had not appeared after approaching the treasure hunter. Persevere, continue to persevere. Whenever the feeling of tearing comes, the king formation will grit his teeth and use his own power to heal the pain on his body. Finally, after not knowing how long it took, just when the king formation felt that his power was about to run out, finally, after a burst of light flashed, the feeling of tearing disappeared. It doesn't know that he just escaped from the dead. The minimum standard for using the interstellar teleportation array in the cultivation world is the nascent soul stage. Generally, there are not many practitioners who are lower than the nascent soul stage, except for some body refining. Dare to send it. Not to mention ordinary people who have not yet cultivated. If it weren't for his ability to be controlled by cells, it would have been cut into pieces by the space energy in the space channel. However, he is also considered a blessing in disguise. When he uses cells to heal his body, a large amount of space energy also enters his cells along with his healing. He still does not know these. Squeaky. After was teleport, accompanied by a rat's squeaking sound, Wang Zhen opened his closed eyes. Fuck, where is this? When he opened his eyes, Wang Zhen was silly, and all the big trees that couldn't be seen were all that caught his eye. How big is the tree? Wang Zhen really can't see it. Just looking at the branches not far in front of you, you need 3 people to hug it so thick. Then, what about the trunk of the tree? Hey, that's not right. Why are the branches running to the sky? There is still wind below. Under this stunned, Wang Zhen suddenly found that the branches were running towards the sky, and there was another strong wind under him. Look down, I'm going, there are trees running to the sky here and there. It was clear that he was falling under the tree. Seeing this, Wang Zhen was a little flustered. Even though he had abilities, he couldn't escape from falling from such a high place. Squeaky. At this moment, Dabao, who was standing on his shoulder, yelled at him, and then pointed under him. You said there is a puddle below, don't worry. Hearing what Dabao said, Wang Zhen took a closer look. Because of the faint mist in the woods, a white spot could be seen vaguely beneath him. As he descended, the white spots became larger and larger, and in a blink of an eye it became a pool of 10 acres in size. With a loud bang, the king formation fell into the water of Yingyuetan, arousing a monstrous wave. After a while, a figure suddenly appeared on the surface of the water. Vomiting continuously, spit out the water in his mouth, Wang Zhen used his hands and feet together to surface. Squeaky. The Dabao standing on the shoulders of the king formation was unscathed. The hair on his body seemed to be sheltered from water, without a drop of water. It just came out of the water and suddenly called out to the king formation. Danger, run! Moonlight Crocodile was sleeping, and suddenly there was a loud noise, which shook its water mansion and woke it up. Who is it that dare to disturb my sleep? The Moonlight Crocodile woke up furious. It was used to dominate the outside world, and it was the first time I encountered it without fear of death. Said, the huge body shook, and it rushed towards the surface of the water. At this time, the treasure hunter Dabeo also felt dangerous. Squeaky! The treasure hunter Dabeo yelled at Wang Zhen. He understood the meaning of Dabeo's words, and immediately went to the shore. There is a huge danger in the water. Get ashore and hide. This is the meaning of Dabeo's squeak. Although Wang Zhen doesn't understand animal language, but I don't know why, he can understand the meaning of Dabeo's squeaking every time. The place where he just fell into the water was not far from the shore, so the king formation quickly went ashore, and then took Dabeo towards a large tree with a diameter of 100 meters not far away. When he came to the big tree, the king formation had no time to take a closer look. With a rune up and another kick, he grabbed the hovering vines on the tree and climbed up. After a few breaths, he came to a branch of a tree 100 meters high. After that, he controlled his cells and put them in a static state, and then he looked towards Yingyu Lake not far under the tree. This is a function he discovered accidentally. As long as he can control all the cells in his body, there will be a kind of restraining effect. Sure enough, after a while, I saw a little blisters in the center of the water, and then gradually increased. With a loud bang, a huge crocodile rushed out of the water. The whole crocodile was silver white. Wang Zhen looked at it visually, and it was at least 100 meters long, like a 30-story skyscraper. After seeing the monster beast rushing out of the water, he looked around in anger, only to find that the surrounding area was empty and there was no trace of the monster's provocation, and he was dumbfounded. Wang Zhen was also taken aback when he saw it. Such a big crocodile does not look like an earth creature. Is at least 100 times more than the crocodile on the earth. Thinking of this, I was even more scared and motionless, carefully controlling the cells of the whole body, for fear of being discovered by that crocodile-like monster. Once is discovered, there is no doubt that he will die. The crocodile monster searched carefully, and found that there was no enemy, and vented indiscriminately at the surface of the water, igniting a huge wave. It may be that I didn't want to destroy the surrounding environment, and the lake was big enough, and the huge waves did not wash onto the shore. But, I saw the flowers and trees all over the lake as if being swept by a machine gun under the cover of splashes accidentally splashed by the huge waves. I can imagine how powerful it is. After venting, maybe it's time to practice. Then, I saw that the giant crocodile was sitting on the water like a human being, swallowing a huge moon towards the sky. I only saw one breath, a faint brilliance separated from the moon and entered its mouth. At this time, Wang Zhen was sure that he was definitely not on Earth. I saw the moon above my head clearly visible, and its size was dozens of times larger than the Earth's moon. After a while, it may be that it is not dangerous. The crocodile carefully looked around, and then spit out a watermelon-sized golden bead from his mouth. The bead exudes a dazzling light. Following the crocodile's swallowing and vomiting, a stream of moonlight, like a real moon, was uploaded from the moon and was absorbed by the golden sphere. Wang Zhen looked at him, dumbfounded, and he just thought that if he was still on the earth, there is nothing now. Isn't this the monster in the novel? Isn't that the inner alchemy in the legend? Could it be that I have passed through, this is not the earth? Looked at the surrounding forest, the thick tree body, and the crocodile still huffing not far away, the king formation, who had not had time to think just now, finally came to his senses. Was shocked, and subconsciously looked at Dabeo next to him. From this look, I found that Dabeo didn't even look scared at all. Instead, he was swallowing the inner alchemy of the crocodile-like monster beast, drooling. Hey, by the way, Dabao doesn't seem to be an ordinary beast, but is it a kind of monster beast? Seeing Dabao's appearance, Wang Zhen thought of Dabao's unusualness and couldn't help but wonder. Hey, what is next to the inner alchemy? Looking at it again, Wang Zhen suddenly discovered that a crescent-shaped silver object that was brighter than the inner alchemy suddenly appeared next to the inner alchemy of the monster beast. With the demon beast's throughput, it exudes a powerful force. And Dabao beside him stared at the crescent-shaped object tightly, his eyes glowing with desire. Is that the magic weapon in the legend? Seeing Dabao's appearance, and then thinking of the heaving golden core, Wang Zhen couldn't help but guess in shock. There are monsters, inner alchemy, and there are still few magic weapons. Taking advantage of the time that the crocodile monster was vomiting, Wang Zhen analyzed it, and he definitely passed through. Even if the earth has virgin forests, there is absolutely no such high tree, nor such an astonishing animal, let alone a monster with an inner alchemy. You must know that when the king formation was on the earth, he was also a member of the kind who specializes in handling supernatural events, but, to be honest, I have never heard of anyone who has encountered a monster beast, let alone a monster that forms a pill. There are some smarter animals, as well as larger ones, such as the Amazonian python, but compared with the crocodile in front of me, there are only differences between ants and elephants. Thinking of this, Wang Zhen became more careful. He didn't want to, he was accidentally turned into the dinner of the demon crocodile, and the next day, it turned into feces and was pulled out. After a while, the demon crocodile finished vomiting and scanned the surroundings carefully. After nothing was found, it gradually disappeared to the surface of the water. Watching the demon crocodile disappear, Wang Zhen was worried. After waiting for an hour, he carefully got off the tree. It's just that when he got down the tree, Wang Zhen always felt like he had forgotten something. Until I came under the tree and had no comment on the stick dangling in front of me, I realized that I didn't wear anything on my body. I'll go, completely forgetting that he was no longer in the king's formation on the earth, and subconsciously flashed to the tree next to him. It turned out that when he was crossing, his clothes all over his body had been torn to pieces by the power of space. When first came here, because of successive dangers, he never noticed that he was not wearing clothes. After this slackened, I found out. Squeak, the treasure mouse standing on the shoulders of the king's array snickered. After a while, I saw a man with a skirt made of large leaves around his waist from the forest. Okay, Dabao, where we go, it's up to you. But it was the king formation. Squeak. Treasure hunter Dabao called to Wang Zhen, and then pointed his finger to the east. Wang Zhen looked at it and understood it carefully. He carefully controlled the aura of his whole body and walked in an unknown direction under the instructions of the treasure hunter Dabao. It's getting late, I don't know the time, but under the moon's light, the woods are still clearly visible. In the tall woods, stepping on thick leaves, Wang Zhen must be very careful with every step. Not long ago, under Dabao's reminder, he escaped a poisonous insect attack. It was a centipede about 3 meters long. And this kind of danger, in this short period of time, has occurred dozens of times. There are centipedes, venomous snakes, and spiders. There are all kinds of people who know and don't. They escaped under the instructions of the treasure hunter Dabao every time. Walked for a while, Yu reading www.yuganchu. Under Dabao's prompt, they came to a tall fruit tree. Squeaky. Dabao climbed up the tree in 3 or 2, and then threw down a jujube-shaped fruit. Wang Zhen took it smoothly, and when he looked up, he saw that the treasure hunter Dabao had already held a fruit with 2 paws and started gnawing. Wang Zhen looked down at the fruit in his hand, and saw the size of an egg, emerald green, like a jade carving, which made people unbearable. With a click, Wang Zhen took a bite. Before he had time to chew, he found that the fruit in his mouth was flowing toward the throat like liquid. Then, I felt a cool sensation spread from my stomach to my whole body. Wow, this fruit actually contains aura. Feeling the cells on the body, like a fish seeing water, absorbing the energy from the fruit in the stomach, Wang Zhen couldn't help but marvel. You know, the same energy, the king formation has only been seen in the jade on the earth. But, here, a fruit tree that I didn't comment on actually contains that kind of energy. This made Wang Zhen more certain that he must have crossed. One bite wasn't enough, and Wang Zhen ate the rest after 3 times and 5 divided by 2. Looking at the tree, the treasure hunter Dabao didn't know how many he had eaten, and he was holding a jade juju bigger than before. Why is it called Yuzao? Sorry, just after eating, Wang Zhen brazenly named this unknown spirit fruit. Wang Zhen saw that there was any danger there, and with 2 kicks, he climbed up the tree. He decided that as soon as he was full, he would rest on this fruit tree with Dabao. Wait for tomorrow morning, and then hurry up at night, it's really too dangerous. The next day, squeaky. With Dabao's cry, Wang Zhen woke up. After a night's rest, Wang Zhen finally regained his spirit. After eating more than a dozen jade dates, he felt that his abilities had recovered. Wang Zhen just wove a simple backpack with leaves similar to bananas. Afterwards, he picked up a backpack full of jade dates, and then walked towards the place where the sun rose under Dabao's guidance. Speechless all the way, the treasure hunter Dabao walked cautiously in the woods with the king formation. Although it is daytime, because the trees in the forest are so big and lush, they still look gloomy and terrifying. In addition to the growth of various vines, in order to avoid some dangerous creatures, I had to go a long way. Squeaky is walking. Suddenly, the nose of the treasure hunter on the shoulder of Wang Zhen twitched, and he called at him casually. You said, there is a situation ahead. Wang Zhen took the treasure hunter big treasure with his hand, held it to his chest, and asked. Treasure hunting mouse Dabao listened and nodded humanely. Squeaky. There is a breath, there should be monsters fighting, and one party is injured. Treasure hunting mouse Dabao carefully sniffed the air in front of him and cried affirmatively. Then let's take a detour, or sneak over and take a look. Wang Zhen asked curiously when he heard it. When I was on the road last night, I also encountered some monsters fighting, but because it was night, it was more dangerous, so whether it was king formation or Dabao, they controlled their curiosity. Now in the daytime, I ran into it again. Although he knew it was dangerous, the king formation still couldn't help but want to see what monster beast fighting was like. Flying. Hidden. You spit a flying sword. I spit a steel fork. Thinking about those scenes, Wang Zhen found it very exciting. On the earth, there are various gods on TV, and monsters have seen a lot. I really haven't seen how real monsters fight. Squeaky. Let's go and see. Hearing what Wang Zhen said, treasure hunter Big Treasure also shined with eyes, although its ancestor was a famous treasure hunter, and it had already awakened part of the inheritance memory when it was teleporting. But, it grew on the earth, it really hasn't seen monsters fight, the only monster beast I saw was the moonlight crocodile I met yesterday. Thinking of this, Wang Zhen cautiously used his abilities to make his own breath unnecessary. Then, under the guidance of the treasure hunter Dabao, he fumbled in the direction of the fight. His hiss. Squeaky, boom, click. Has been walking for about 5 minutes. Although the two monsters fighting have not yet been seen, the sound of fighting and the sound of breaking trees came from afar. When walked here, Wang Zhen and Dabao knew not to go any further. Although it is not clear enough to see, it is vaguely visible that it is a snake-like monster and a golden monkey-shaped creature. By the way, I'm so stupid, we can go up to the tree to see. Looked at it for a while, because it was far away, it was still vague. Inadvertently saw a big tree not far in front of him, and the king array thought of it with an instinct. Hearing Wang Zhen's words, the treasure hunter's eyes on his shoulders lit up, and Wang Zhen took a step before running towards the tree. I saw it on the trunk like flat ground, and disappeared into the branches in a blink of an eye. Wang Zhen looked at it, and quickly followed it and climbed towards the trunk. Although the big trees in the forest are sturdy, but with various branches and trunks on them, it is not difficult to climb. So Wang Zhen followed in Dabao's footsteps, like a monkey, clutching the branches and climbing towards the top. In a blink of an eye, I don't know how high it has climbed, and Wang Zhen finally saw the treasure hunter in front of him. I saw she had stopped on a sturdy tree branch long ago, holding a jade date in two paws, and looking down the tree while eating. It looked like I was watching a play. Hey, how did the jade dates in Dabao's hand come from? Wang Zhen touched his head suspiciously. He remembered that when he came up, the treasure hunter Dabao didn't take anything at all. Forget it, maybe I remembered it wrong. Seeing the treasure hunter Dabao eating something, Wang Zhen smiled and walked carefully to its side. Then, he also took a jade date and ate it while looking down. After walking for so long, he is really hungry. From this look, I can only see the places that were not visible before, and I can see clearly. Not far from under the tree, rows of sturdy trees were cut off by their wastes and swayed from side to side. In the center of the broken tree, a black giant snake is crouching there, staring nervously at a golden monkey on a broken tree stump in the open space in front of him. Although the black giant snake is not as big as the moonlight crocodile, its curled-up body is as high as 3 stories. It is estimated that in terms of length, it will definitely not lose to the moonlight crocodile. And that monkey is only the size of an ordinary monkey on the earth, with golden light shining all over. Looking at the surface, I definitely think that monkeys are weak. However, Wang Zhen, with sharp eyes, found that the black giant snake had already been scarred, but the golden monkey was unscathed. Dark Snake He-san is a monster in the late Nayuan stage. Just one step away, you can enter the transformation stage. At that time, you can enter the inner circumference of the monster forest and be protected by the monster beast regulations. The realm of monster beast is divided into 9, corresponding to the 9 realms of the realm of cultivation. Kai Chiao Nanomoto Ning Dan Yao Ying Fit Tenjiun Frame Fog Duji. The monster beast forest had no monster beast regulations before. But I heard that a mixed battle broke out in the entire cultivation world at that time. Many monsters died in that battle, and even the interstellar teleportation array between the cultivation planets was destroyed. Therefore, in order to protect the remaining monsters, some ancient monsters set up inner and outer boundaries in the monster forest. Peripheral monsters are not forbidden to kill, but as long as the monsters have passed the transformation period on the outside, regardless of breed and type, they can enter the inner enclosure. After entering the inner circle, not only do you have to worry about your life, you can also get some ancient monster disciples to teach and practice, so the outer monster beasts always aim to enter the inner circle of the monster forest, and it is the same. According to the bloodline, they have no advantage in the cultivation of the nether snake line, but when they came out to practice once, they accidentally fell into a cold pool and got a piece of ice for 1,000 years. In just a few years of effort, from a small demon of Nano Yuan, to the late stage of condensing pill, it is only one step away from the transformation. But he didn't expect that after he finished his cultivation today, he came out to fight the teeth and was spotted by a golden gibbon ape. Looking at the golden gibbon ape in front of him, the dark snake He-san wants to cry without tears. Isn't it just coming out for a meal? How come I met such a fiendish star? If God gives me another chance, I will definitely not come out to eat, but hide in a cave and practice hard. God, if you insist on a time limit for cultivation, then I hope it will be 10,000 years. Gibbon ape, I heard that it contains a trace of the blood of the 4 ancient monkeys through the gibbons. Was born to overwhelm ordinary monsters, possessing the talent for leapfrog fighting. Not to mention the golden gibbon ape in front of me, the realm is not below it. How can I fight? I can't fight, and I can't run. I hope I won't be forced to do my best, even if I can't kill you, but it's enough to hurt you. He-san thought secretly in his heart. After the demon beast forms its pill, there is an additional guarantee, which is to explode the demon pill when desperate. Their monsters are different from human beings. Human beings can only condense golden cores until they have cultivated to the realm of golden cores. And their monster beasts, in the late stage of resuscitation, they will form a monster pill of their own. The demon pill realm of the monster beast is just a kind of realm division, and it has nothing to do with condensing the demon pill. Under normal circumstances, monsters only see life and death unless they are feuds. After the pill formation, they rarely fight life and death. Is because even if you kill someone, if someone blew the demon pill before they died, you will have to peel off your skin even if you don't die. Look, there's a fight again. After a stalemate for a while, the golden monkey under the tree took the lead to attack the dark snake He-san. I saw the golden monkey like a bolt of lightning. S figure flashed, and he appeared between the black 3 and 7 inches, and grabbed it with the already opened sharp claws that were beyond its 7 inches. Black Trinity looked, and his mind moved, and the tail that had been prepared long ago was also drawn in the direction of the attack of the golden monkey. With a snap, the giant snake's tail was emptied, and the golden monkey flashed again and appeared in its original position again. As for the 7 inches of the black snake, there was an extra wound with a big mouth. The King-Aray looked at it intently, and saw that the golden monkey also had a piece of snake meat with scales in his hand. Then, I saw the golden monkey, as if smelling delicious, and between the mouths, the piece of snake meat disappeared in the golden monkey's mouth. The black snake looked at it, furious, and made a hissing sound. The monkey squeaked loudly in a tit-for-tat. Seeing what they look like, they seem to be communicating. Hiss hiss. Squeaky. It seems that the communication is not going well. He-san made a move first this time, only to see his mouth suck, and open his mouth to exhale a blue breath towards the golden monkey. But speed is the golden monkey's specialty, the blue aura is still in the air, and the golden monkey has disappeared in place. Appeared again, and saw him appear next to the dark snake He-san again, and another piece of snake meat with scales was cut off in the vicinity of the sharp claws. And that group of blue breath has just landed. Then, starting from the ground where the golden monkey had just stopped, everything was frozen instantly. Seeing that the attack was futile, the Chi He-san's tail twitched randomly, and the stump and ground that had just been frozen were turned into debris like broken glass. After the golden monkey succeeded in the sneak attack, his figure flashed and suddenly appeared on a broken tree stump on the other side. Then, he pointed the black snake with his mouth and cracked teeth and sneered. The black snake was furious, knowing that he was too far away from this ape, and it was estimated that he would not escape to death in the end. The surface does not move and the color, but in his heart he made a desperate plan. Saw his mouth opened and inhaled, and then another blue breath sprayed towards the golden ape. Wait for the breath to fall, another breath of blue breath was sprayed in the opposite direction between inhalation and exhalation. In the previous battle, the cunning black snake had long discovered that the golden ape actually had no combat experience. Judging from his age, he should be a disciple of the gibbon golden ape clan who had just grown up to practice. It is a pity that even if golden ape has no combat experience, his natural gap cannot be compensated. The natural magical powers of the golden gibbon ape, teleport, most of the time, make it invincible. However, this time, the black snake didn't have the idea of killing the golden ape. Instead, he thought that even if he died, he wouldn't make golden ape look good. The old treacherously slippery, it has long seen that the golden ape doesn't kill itself, it's practicing its own hands. And its plan is to use the golden ape's lack of fighting experience and the mentality of not eager to kill oneself. As long as he gives it a little time, he can freeze the golden ape for a few breaths with cold ice, and then detonate his golden core. In this way, even if the golden ape does not die, he will be seriously injured. Otherwise, at the speed of the golden ape's teleportation, even if it explodes the golden core, the golden ape's teleportation will leave the explosion range, and it will die in vain. Sure enough, the plan is proceeding according to its idea. The golden ape saw the cold breath spraying towards him, and without thinking about it, a teleport appeared in the opposite direction. Did not expect that another group of ice aura would also appear in front of it at this time. With a click, I saw Jin Yuan turned into a mass of ice in a blink of an eye. Hiss, let's die together. Black Snake looked at it, a once in a lifetime opportunity. With a move from the head to the tail, the body coiled around the golden ape in a snake formation. Then, a move in his heart detonated his inner alchemy. Since you die sooner or later, why let someone kill it? Let Grandpa Snake teach you how to be a beast. Dark Snake Hizan yelled frantically in his heart. The golden ape in the snake formation seemed to feel the danger and struggled desperately. Unfortunately, the time was too short. It had just broken free from the ice, and before it could teleport, the inner alchemy of the dark snake Black 3 exploded. Boom loudly, Wang Zhen and Dabao standing on the tree saw the golden monkey and the black snake fighting. The golden monkey was suddenly hit by the blue breath of the black snake, and then turned into ice. Before he could react, he saw the black snake clutching the golden monkey, his body suddenly swelled, and then it exploded with a bang. After the explosion, I saw a mushroom cloud soaring into the sky, and then a shock wave visible to the naked eye blasted towards the surroundings. I only saw the clothes, whether it was a plant or an animal, was shaken into powder in a blink of an eye. Fortunately, just now because of fear of danger, neither person nor rat was too far forward, so when the shock wave came in front of the king formation, the power became much smaller. The only regret is that the leaf skirt that had been with him for a few days was scraped away by the shock wave. Squeaky, exhibitionist. The treasure hunter Dabao covered his eyes with one hand, and called Wang Zhen with the other finger. Wang Zhen was speechless, and deliberately found a few leaves on the tree to make do, but under the shock wave just now, the big tree that had just been luxuriant became as smooth as the king. Helpless, he had to cover his body and stood messy on the tree. Squeaky. After waiting for a while, the smoke gradually diminished. Treasure hunting mouse Dabao didn't know what he thought of. After squeaking at the king formation with bright eyes, he bounced off the tree. I'll see if the two monsters are dead, you are here waiting for me to come back. Waited for a while, suddenly there was a squeaking noise from under the tree. When Wang Zhen heard it, he was overjoyed and started to crawl under the tree. Dabao's hizzy meant to tell it that it was safe under the tree. When came under the tree, Wang Zhen found that Dabao had disappeared, but there was a piece of unknowing skin piled under the tree. Hey, this is a piece of black snake skin. Seeing the snake skin, Wang Zhen was overjoyed. Just now he was still looking for something to wear as his clothes, so don't worry about it now. Squeaky. Come here, that golden monkey is not dead yet. At this moment, a squeaking sound came from the dust and fog in the distance, but it was the sound of the treasure hunter Dabao. When Wang Zhen heard it, he didn't have time to take a closer look. He picked up the snakeskin around his waist, and then walked towards the place where the sound came from. Because of the shock wave, the thick leaves and floating soil in the ground have disappeared. What are exposed on the ground are thick tree roots and stumps one after another, plus the dust and mist floating in the sky. It looks like hell. Carefully turned over one tree root after another, the king formation finally came to the side of a huge deep pit. The sound of the treasure hunting rat Dabao came from the deep pit. Squeaky. It may be that he heard the footsteps of the king formation, and the silver light flashed, and the treasure hunter appeared on its shoulder. Then, he made gestures at the Wang Zhen. Then flashed, and disappeared in the dust and mist of the big hole. Come on, I will lead the way. It seems to be in a coma with many wounds on his body. This is the meaning of Dabao's gesture. Wang Zhen slid in the direction where Dabao left when he heard it. Although he didn't really see the golden monkey, he liked Monkey King since he was a child, and he really liked the golden monkey since he saw him. If you give it a golden hoop, will it be another Wukong? The thoughts in his heart were fortunately not known by the comatose gibbon ape, otherwise, he would not stop violently cursing. Golden monkey, your sister.
Lao Tzu is a family of famous long-armed golden apes. You actually think of me as a monkey. At the bottom of the pit, Wang Zhen finally saw the true face of the golden monkey. Just now, because he was too far away, he always thought that the golden monkey was very small, but when he walked in front of him, he realized that he was wrong. I saw that even though the golden monkey was lying on the ground, his body was about 3 meters long, and his golden hair was shining like steel needles. With fists the size of a human head and a fierce face, even though he has passed out, he still exudes fierce power. There is still a golden monkey here and there, it is clearly a golden ape. Jin Yuan lay there facing up. Wang Zhen thought for a moment, holding Jin Yuan's fingers, activated his own power. After entering the body of the golden ape, the abilities flowed along its body towards the whole body. Then, one after another, enlarged cell pictures appeared in Wang Zhen's mind. I'm going, what a strong cell! Looking at the cells in front of him, Wang Zhen was stunned. Saw that its cells are extremely strong, 100 times stronger than the king's own cells. How can I say that, under consciousness, the king's own cells are only the size of an egg, but the cells in front of them are like a small room, and the nuclei in them are much larger than that of a football. Although the cells of the golden ape are powerful, under the consciousness of the king formation, they still find that many cells are currently on the verge of death. There are broken cell walls, broken nuclei, and more dead and shriveled cells. Although cells have the function of auto-healing, in general, they need a lot of nutrients. For example, when on the earth, people became very weak after being seriously injured. That is because a large number of cells were injured and died. Some cells that did not die would try their best to mobilize energy from the rest of the cells to help the injured cells recover. And how does the energy come from? Of course, comes from people's daily energy absorption, which is why, when patients recover from illness, they will need to take some supplementary foods. The cells of the golden ape are the strongest cells the king formation has seen so far. According to the king's inference, if the energy in the golden ape's body is sufficient, there is no need for the king's formation to take action. All the injuries on his body will recover in a very short time. It is a pity that the energy in the body of the current golden ape has already been exhausted when it resists the spontaneous explosion of the underworld snake. In addition, there are too many injured and dead cells, and it is in a coma that cannot take in the aura energy from the outside, causing the cells in its body to recover slowly when it lacks energy. It seems that I still need me to help it. Looking at the slowly recovering cells in his mind, Wang Zhen's heart moved, and the supernatural energy he left in the golden ape's body moved toward those cells to fuse. Then, under the consciousness of the king formation, the cells in the golden ape body, after absorbing the supernatural energy of the king formation, were like taking an aphrodisiac, and the injured cells recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. And those cells that are not injured, like an aphrodisiac, become crazy bigger, and then split into 2 smaller cells. After the injured cells have recovered, they will join the split camp. In this way, the cells that are healed from the injury or are not injured at all will split frantically and then split again. In the blink of an eye, I saw that the dead cells disappeared everywhere, leaving only a dense cluster of healthy cells. If someone is next to Jin Yuan's body at this time, he will find that with the use of Wang Zhen's abilities, the wound on Jin Yuan's body is disappearing at a speed visible to the naked eye. In a blink of an eye, it seemed as if he had never been injured. Squeaky! Danger is approaching. At this moment, the treasure hunter on one side suddenly called out. Wang Zhen's expression changed as soon as he heard it. Although Jin Yuan's injury had healed, he did not wake up. And the danger Dabao said was definitely the other monsters in the forest, but it was not something that the king formation could deal with right now. What should I do? Do you want to run away with the golden ape? Glanced at the motionless golden ape on the ground, the king formation hesitated. Although he saved Jin Ape with his kindness for a while, it was because he saw Jin Ape pleasing to his eyes and left here thinking of saving him. But, now there is danger approaching, and the golden ape is still in a coma.
If the golden ape is really left here, the king formation can be sure that after a while, even the golden ape's bones will not be seen. The most important thing is the golden ape himself, which the king is worried about. Although he has saved it, who knows how his temperament is? There are more people on the earth who will avenge revenge, let alone in a strange world, and the object of rescue is still a monster. Forget it, take a gamble. Just take the golden ape. After so much thought, the kind-hearted king formation still couldn't bear to leave the golden ape here, and decided to take him on the road. Thinking of this, Wang Zhen didn't dare to delay time. He carried Jin Ape's waist with both hands and put it on his right shoulder. The treasure hunter on the side of glanced at Dabao, and with a swish, he rushed to the left shoulder of the king formation. Then, after a squeaky exchange, Wang Zhen followed Dabao's instructions and walked towards the depths of the forest. In a blink of an eye, night fell, and a huge moon hung in the sky. Wang Zhen, who walked out of the explosion pit, carried the golden ape all the way through the moonlight, cautiously heading towards the distant mountains. I don't know why, this road is surprisingly safe, all kinds of poisonous insects under the leaves, and some monsters in the forest, without warning from the big treasure, they avoided it far away. Although I don't know the reason, Wang Zhen guessed that it must be related to the golden ape. You must know that when there was no golden ape, the journey was not so smooth. The poisonous insects and various monsters that sprang out from time to time need to be carefully avoided. But now, there is no need to avoid it. As long as the king formation carries the golden ape, the poisonous insects and monsters in a radius of 1000 meters flee, like the way the large animal carnivores of the earth appear. By the way, it seems that this golden ape is not a simple monster. Otherwise, he would not scare away so many monsters by his own power. Wang Zhen thought while walking. Walked for a while, and Wang Zhen and Dabao, as well as the golden ape, finally came to the foot of a mountain. Then, I saw Dabao's nose on his shoulders and sniffed, as if he had found something good. He couldn't even say a word. Body shape flashed, Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com disappeared in the mountains. Dabao, come back, where are you going? When Wang Zhen looked at it, he was taken aback, for fear that Dabao might encounter unknown danger. You must know that if you suddenly came to this strange world, if it weren't for Dabao to warn you. On the way, Wang Zhen has been dead for at least dozens of times, so he has long regarded Dabao as his relatives, but he doesn't want to lose him like this. Squeaky. Dabao's response came from the darkness, there is an empty cave here, come here. When Wang Zhen heard this, he finally relieved his heart and walked in the direction of Dabao's departure, carrying the golden ape. Sure enough, after walking another kilometer, at the foot of a mountain, saw a cave entrance that was like a crack, only one person wide. Look at the signs of cracking, and there is no sign of animals on the ground. It should be recent. Squeaky. Deep in the cave suddenly heard a happy cry from Dabao. Wang Zhen was taken aback when he heard it. You must know that the sounds of rats, no matter how they are called, are one kind of sounds to outsiders. But in the eyes of Wang Zhen, it is different. Dabao's call is only made when the earth finds the treasure. It is a happy voice. Is there any baby in this cave? The king formation thought in disbelief that he had crossed into this unfamiliar world for no reason, escaped all the dangers, and finally found a cave. There was a treasure waiting for him. How could this be so like the protagonist in a novel on Earth routine? Squeaky. Come on, I found the baby. Just when the king formation was YY, Dabao's cry came from the cave again. Okay, come in now. Hearing the treasure hunter Dabao urging him, Wang Zhen responded, knelt down, and carefully placed the golden ape on the ground. The entrance of the cave is too small, and the golden ape is too big. If the king formation takes the golden ape with him, it will not make it through. Therefore, Wang Zhen could only put the golden ape down first, and slowly pulled it into the cave vertically. Brother ape, I'm sorry, I have no choice but to bring you in like this." Wang Zhen apologized to the unconscious Jin Ape, then backed up, pulling Jin Ape's two thick fingers, and dragging it toward the crack in the cave. Did not notice, Jin Yuan's eyelids moved, and then he closed again. After entering the cave along the crack, the inside gradually became wider and wider, but it was also getting lower and lower. The cave is very dark and there is no light at all, but for the king formation, these are not problems. After all, he is a supernatural person. An ordinary person suddenly enters a dark place. After a few seconds, he will gradually adapt. Not to mention him, although it is impossible to see the darkness as nothing, but it is still possible to see things simply. The cave stretched all the way down, and Wang Zhen dragged the golden ape away for a few minutes. After turning a big bay, suddenly a colorful light and shadow came into view. Wang Zhen took a closer look, and was immediately stunned, almost thinking that he had come to the fairy world. I saw stalagmites in the cave, all kinds of stone forests, stone statues, stone rivers, and stone waterfalls everywhere. Under the light that didn't know there, they were shining with colorful rays. With a bang, Wang Zhen subconsciously let go of Jin Yuan's hand and stared blankly at the beautiful scenery in front of him. This scene should only be seen in the sky, but there are a few times in the world. Earth's stalactite forest, compared with here, can only be regarded as a chirping. Wang Zhen looked at the rare scenery in front of him, and sighed in shock. You must know that there are similar stalactite caves on the earth, and Wang Zhen has also visited it. But whether it is the various heights of the stalagmites and statues inside, or the inexplicable colorful light, the stalactite forest in front of you has completely exploded those of the earth. Stone caves that can't be seen at a glance, stalactite forests of 7 or 8 meters high, various statues of Buddha, people, horses, waterfalls, and other sites of more than 10 meters. Shone like alive under the carving of nature, making the dull king formation even feel that he is very small. Squeak! Boss, come soon, I found the baby. Just as Wang Zhen was fascinated by the beauty of the stalactites, a sharp squeak came from the middle of the stone forest, awakening the fascinated him. The Wang Zhen who woke up wiped the saliva from the corner of his mouth, only then did he remember that there was still business to be done. After entering the cave, the space inside became very large, and the king formation no longer had to worry that Jin Yuan's body was too large to move around. Therefore, for convenience, Wang Zhen picked up the golden ape again and walked towards the depths of the stalactite forest. On this road, I only saw huge stone pillars, like pillars of a hall supporting the ceiling of the cave and the earth. On the top of the cave, there are many stalagmites on the ground. Some resemble lotus flowers, some resemble Buddha statues, some resemble waterfalls, some resemble fishes, and some resemble birds. Beauties, strong men, animals, beasts, forests, pagodas, there are only things you can't think of, without what they don't, one by one, under the illumination of colorful light, lifelike. The stalactite forest is very large. Wang Zhen walked and looked at it, feeling that both eyes were not enough. Squeaky! Master, be careful, it's dangerous. I don't know how long it took, but the king formation, who was walking in the stone forest, suddenly heard Dabao's warning call from ahead. So, he carried the golden ape and walked quickly to the place where the sound came from. Finally walked about a kilometer in the stone forest, and then walked out of the stone forest. Walking out of the stone forest, Wang Zhen saw a small stone forest as high as his knees. In the middle of the small stone forest, there was a huge stone platform. There is a huge jade bowl on top of the stone platform, about 3 meters in diameter, and filled with milky white liquid. In the middle of the liquid, a golden lotus bloomed with dazzling light. Under the jade bowl, a palm-sized golden toad is facing Dabao. When Wang Zhen looked at it, he suddenly remembered what he didn't know where he heard, a place where heaven, material and earth treasures come and go, there must be spirit beasts guarding them. Is that golden toad, the legendary guardian spirit beast? So according to this, that golden lotus must be the legendary treasure of genius. A lot of thoughts popped up in Wang Zhen's mind for a while. Who are you? Why do you steal my stalactite? Just then, suddenly a little boy's voice rang from Wang Zhen's mind. Hey, who is talking? The sudden voice stunned Wang Zhen. Subconsciously glanced at the golden ape who had been thrown on the ground, but found that he was still unconscious. It's not the golden ape, is it the golden toad in front of you? Wang Zhen looked at Jin Chan under the stone platform in disbelief. Don't read it, I asked you. Another childish voice came into Wang Zhen's mind. It was a childish voice, but pretending to be an old honesty, people couldn't help but laugh. Squeaky. The treasure hunter Dabao beside seemed to have heard Jin Chan's question. So, Squeaky arguing and responding, I thought it was an unowned thing, so I drank a little. Who knows, just drank a little and you came out, how can this be called stealing that? Jin Chan listened to Dabao's answer, glanced at Dabao intently, but fell into deep thought. Others see Dabao, Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com may only think that it is a mutated mouse in front of it, but it has awakened the blood inheritance, but knows that the mouse in front of it is the number one treasure hunter on the alien animal list. What is a strange beast? Refers to the beasts that are different from ordinary people. To say simple is to mutate and evolve, and to say complicated is to revert to ancestors. Monster ranking first place, treasure hunter talent supernatural powers, treasure hunting, teleporting, ignoring the rules supernatural powers, the world of law, the dimension of space, flying into the sky. This is the introduction to the treasure hunter in its blood heritage. Although the treasure hunter in front of him was just a newborn treasure hunter, Jin Chan did not dare to look down upon it at all. You must know that in its memory inheritance, even in the immortal realm, in the realm, treasure hunters are rare. Therefore, every time it appears, it will set off a storm. Different animal rankings, each has its own uniqueness, and the treasure hunter clan can monopolize the first place. How can it be underestimated? As for why there is a history of treasure hunters in its heritage. Of course, because it is actually a member of the list of alien beasts. No, it is not counted now, because it can only be said to be a member of the list of alien beasts when it becomes a real three-legged golden toad. Monster ranking 10th place, three-legged golden toad talent supernatural power, metal induction supernatural powers, creating waves, attracting wealth and treasures, the world of law and the world, a space of its own. In its inheritance memory, the ancestors have confessed that if you encounter other members on the alien beast list that day, no matter what the situation, you can help, don't be evil. Because there are few alien beasts, each one is unique. If this is not united, it is estimated that the alien beast clan will disappear in the long river of history soon. There are too few alien beasts, and even fewer can be on the list. One must know that the necessary condition for being on the list of alien beasts is to have the function of searching for spiritual things between heaven and earth. At this point, I don't know how many monsters have been stumped, and this treasure hunting function is also different. There are those who are good at finding herbs, some are good at finding mineral veins, some are good at finding spirit stones, and there are everything. It stands to reason that as long as it is useful to the creatures of the world, it can be counted as a treasure. In fact, most animals and humans have this function. For example, human beings use pictures and learn some knowledge to find something useful to them. Beasts use their innate genetic ability to find something useful to them. It can be seen from a word spread by humans, where the geniuses and earth treasures grow, there must be guardian spirit beasts. However, the alien beasts that can be on the list of alien beasts are not simply searching and guarding, but must be the alien beasts with top treasure hunting magical powers. Just like on the earth, everyone has certain life skills, but most people are not proficient. Those who are proficient in one or more of them are generally called masters. Beasts are the same, most of them have their own natural advantages, and fewer are proficient. Anyone who is proficient belongs to the overlord of one party. The alien beast is equivalent to the genius children or supernatural beings among the masters on Earth. Imagine how many people there is on the Earth? That's close to tens of billions, but as far as the King Formation knows, the total number of global supernaturalists does not exceed 1,000. But there are only fewer alien beasts. Generally speaking, a cultivation world, tens of thousands of planets, awakened alien beasts, can count the number of hands on the list. Ordinary people may not understand why treasure hunting monsters are so popular. However, as long as you are a cultivator, you know that if you are accompanied by a strange beast, as long as you don't die halfway, you will become immortal or Buddha. Dharma, companionship, wealth, land, 4 essential conditions for comprehension, but after all, money is the most important thing. The wealth in it refers to the treasure born between heaven and earth. Everything has an enum, and each has its own way. In order to survive, in countless years, all kinds of treasures have long had their own ways of covering up. Or born in the underground, or in the deep sea, or in the valley, or born in the sky, unusual methods can be found. But everything in the world has mutual growth and mutual restraint, and the nemesis of the treasures of heaven and wealth is the strange beast. The supernatural powers of alien beasts are born for treasure hunting, each has its own strengths and weaknesses. This is also the reason why alien beasts are so popular. After all, as a cultivator, who doesn't want to be accompanied by a strange beast that can look for treasure anytime, anywhere? When you are still worrying about Xyulian resources, those with strange beasts have already found the resources they need. When you are still worrying about not having magic weapons, people who have strange beasts have already changed what they want. There is really a kind of feeling that I have a strange beast in my hand. However, there are advantages and disadvantages. Although the treasure hunting ability of alien beasts is well known in the world, it has been extremely rare since ancient times. Some people may have heard of it, but they have never seen it in a lifetime. There are some people who don't know even if they have met, but when they think of it, they are too late. Even between alien beasts and alien beasts, not many have seen each other. Although I don't understand why we are required to help each other in the bloodline inheritance, since our ancestors said so, there must be a purpose. Besides, the baby is still a child, just obedient. Jin Chan recalled her inheritance memory, and thought to herself. Although his cultivation has reached the stage of his imminent ascension, he has basically grown up by eating 10,000 years of ground milk. Ate and slept and ate, in just 100 years, from a toad who didn't understand anything, he cultivated to the peak of a monster's realm. And for the golden toads, this century is only an early childhood. Turning his head to see Wang Zhen, Jin Chan glanced at his mouth, and thought silently in his heart, could it be that this is the human being in the legend? Why is it so ugly? There are no lumps all over the body, and the mouth is so small, it seems that the tongue is also short. I don't know whether to eat bugs or not. I thought about it so much, but it was just a moment. Looking back, Jin Chan's divine sense transmission asked the treasure hunter, by the way, you should have awakened the bloodline memory, but why you still use the language of your rat race? Is there no mastery of all methods in your inheritance memory Dharma? When the treasure hunter heard it, he asked in surprise, how do you know that I have awakened blood memory? There is also, what is the mastery of all methods? Jin Chan listened and smiled mysteriously, because I have already awakened the blood of the three-legged Jin Chan, and the blood between our strange beasts can be sensed by each other. I know the alien beast, because I am. But the three-legged golden toad is a strange beast, why don't I know? There is no memory in my bloodline inheritance. Upon hearing the treasure hunting mouse Dabao, he asked suspiciously. Hearing what the treasure hunter said, Jin Chan suddenly thought of when he had just awakened. At that time, he only passed on a small amount of knowledge and practice techniques. It wasn't until his cultivation gradually deepened that he gradually gained a large amount of knowledge inheritance. No, you won't just wake up. Yes, I just awakened for a few days. Treasure hunter Dabeo said naturally. You need to know the time when it awakens, or when the formation is teleported here. Because of unconsciously absorbing a large amount of spatial energy in the spatial channel, it awakened part of the bloodline memory. Okay, I see, it may be the reason you just awakened. By the way, it's not convenient to communicate. I will teach you the mastery method. Don't resist. Jin Chan thought for a while, opened his mouth, and a ball of light floated out of his mouth. Dabeo, be careful. Seeing Dabeo chatting with Jin Chan, Wang Zhen, who was looking around, suddenly saw Jin Chan spit out a ball of light, thinking that Jin Chan was going to attack Dabeo. Subconsciously blocked it with his hand, who knew that the light group disappeared when he started his hand, but suddenly there was a new exercise in his mind, master of all laws. Proficient in all methods, after learning, you can understand. Reading www.yuyuganshu.com speaks the language of all creatures in the world, and since then makes communication between languages of different races barrier-free. The origin is unknown. Jin Chan. Wang Zhen. Brother, is your master stupid? No, very smart. Treasure hunter Dabeo responded stupidly. When Wang Zhen heard this, he turned his head awkwardly. By the way, you continue, I won't bother. After speaking out, Wang Zhen was stunned. Why suddenly I understood what they were saying. Is this the function of the light group just now? Jin Chan rolled his eyes speechlessly when he heard it, and had no choice but to spit out another ball of light to Dabeo. After treasure hunting mouse Dabeo absorbed the light ball, suddenly, a timid voice of a tender girl appeared in Wang Zhen's ear. Boss, I am Dabeo. No way? Are you a mother? Wang Zhen subconsciously exclaimed when he heard it. Jin Chan on the side of heard it and exclaimed, no, you turned out to be a mother. I hate it, so what if someone is a mother? Dabeo on the side listened, pretending to be shy, and said with a wink. Thank you, brother Jin Chan, look back. Treasure hunter Dabeo shyly thanked Jin Chan. A man and a beast never thought that the treasure hunter was a female, and Wang Zhen didn't pay attention to it. But Jin Chan is preconceived. When he first saw Dabeo, he would have an embryonic aura depending on his words and expressions. So Jin Chan thought that Dabeo was just like it, a male monster. Hey, no, when did you learn how to master the secret method? Recovered, Jin Chan asked suspiciously. The sudden voice that frightened Wang Zhen jumped. Wang Zhen looked at it, but it turned out that it was the golden ape who didn't know when to wake up. Finally, don't pretend to be asleep. At this moment, Jin Chan on one side suddenly said angrily. As early as when they came in, it found the golden ape pretending to be asleep. But because there was no threat at all, I left it alone. If it hadn't made a sound suddenly, it would have been forgotten. Excuse me, senior, I'm sorry to disturb you in naming it. Jin Yuan stood up with a smile on his face, and said flatly to Jin Chan. Actually, it woke up as early as when it entered the cave. Even the rescue of Wang Zhen and Dabeo is clear. When was fighting with the black underworld snake demon, it never thought that the black underworld snake would explode. At that time, its pubic area was broken, and the gold core was broken. Although it was not dead, it was not far from death. But what he didn't expect was that when he thought he was dead, a little mouse suddenly appeared, and then another ordinary person. Unexpectedly, that ordinary person is not ordinary at all. I don't know what method was used. Even the meridians all over his body were broken, and the injury of the Danshan rupture was recovered in an instant. The meridians are intact as before, and the Danshan is restored to its original appearance. If it weren't for the demon pill in the Danshan that was still broken, it really thought it was not injured. The meridians and Danshan are all right, and the demon element that just couldn't run can also run. So, in order to recover from the injury as soon as possible, it can only abandon the sense of the outside, and concentrate all its attention on repairing its own demon pill in its pubic area. When woke up again, it was already in the mouth of the cave. Although it has been repaired 7 or 88, it does not delay the ability to act. But out of caution, he still pretended to be unconscious. Did not expect that in it, he would encounter an old demon who survived the catastrophe. Because there is no reason for cultivation, that human being cannot feel it. But as a monster in the transformation stage, how could he not feel it? Not to mention the suppression above his realm, even the invisible bloodline suppression makes him afraid to be disrespectful. However, what happened next left it confused. That old demon actually looked like the monster beast that rescued himself as a mouse. Cross the catastrophe. That's the ancestor level in the inner circle. It was a little bit cautious outside the cave, it will run clean. Gold coins, the name is good, I like it, quack. Hearing the name Wang Zhen had chosen, Jin Chan said twice in a low voice, and then called out loudly. Well, as long as you like it. Seeing Jin Chan like it, Wang Zhen sighed to himself and secretly complained, fortunately, this is a little demon, so it's better to be fooled. By the way, what about me? Little Jin Chan, my name is Dabao, you will call me Dabao sister in the future. The treasure hunter Dabao on the side of suddenly interjected. Well, sister Dabao. Jin Chan obediently called Dabao sister. Jin Chan, who was still in his childhood, didn't think there was anything wrong with calling Dabao his sister, so he called out happily. The king formation on only one side listened, and smiled in his heart. I don't know who the two of you are older, so you called my sister. Well, the gold coin brother is really good. Dabao happily jumped to the side of Jin Chan and touched its head and said. Well, by the way, since you are all called my sister, in the future, you will also call my master boss. After thinking about it, the treasure hunter waved his hand. Well, good boss. Jin Chan yelled at Wang Zhen obediently. The owner of the treasure hunter, who is the #1 monster, is that ordinary? Called the boss, and didn't lose money. Then me? Can I call you the boss too? Just then, the golden monkey on one side interjected cautiously. After a while, the ancestor in its heart became the younger brother of the person in front of him. It still didn't express its attitude, and it was really afraid that the human in front of him would be upset and let Jin Chan slap him to death. Are you? We will be our little brother from now on, let's call the boss with us. Wang Zhen hasn't answered yet, the treasure hunter Dabao on one side responded happily. I picked up 2 little brothers at once, and the treasure hunter Dabao was very happy. By the way, I will call my eldest sister the head from now on. Said, the treasure hunter Dabao did not know that he got a branch from there and hung it in his mouth. If you are on the earth at this time, someone will definitely recognize it. Isn't this the usual action in the young and dangerous boys? It's a pity that this is not the earth, and the golden ape is not a human being on the earth, and he has never seen a movie of Young and Dangerous, so he doesn't know the meaning of this action. However, as a little brother, at least he still understands the truth, that is, what the boss says, he does what he does. Well, yes, big sister, I have seen the boss, and I have seen the big sister. The golden ape changed from squatting to kneeling, learning the etiquette that has been used by humans before, and casting his 5 bodies into authentic ways. Then me? What should it call me? Jin Chan was also a little anxious when he heard both Jin Ape screaming, except that he didn't call it. Although I don't know the source of these titles, they sound very prestigious and look very powerful. By the way, there are gold coins, call it the second brother, the treasure hunter on the side commanded it imposingly. Yes, big sister is big. Jin Yuan turned around obediently, knelt down and gave a big gift to Jin Chan, and then called out, meet the second brother. Well, okay, get up. Jin Chan looked at it and smiled, and now there is a little brother, and finally he is not the youngest. Here, this is a reward for you. Jin Chan thought for a while, waved his hand, and a drop of white liquid floated out of the pool on one side, floating towards the golden ape. Jin Yuan was overjoyed when he saw it. Although he didn't know the golden lotus in the pond, he knew the liquid in the pond clearly. It was a rare earth milk, also known as stalactite. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. According to the legend, the earth milk is a condensation of the essence of the earth. Not only does it require specific conditions to produce it, but it also produces one drop in 10,000 years. All are also called 10,000 years stalactite. Take one drop, it has the effect of condensing the body, improving the aptitude, and washing the menstruation and cutting the pulse. Is the only treasure with no sequelae among the many geniuses. Once spreads, there will be a lot of people or monsters fighting for it. Did not expect that he just called the second brother and got a drop, which made it feel like he was in a dream. It was too late, it was fast, and Jin Yuan opened his mouth, and the 10,000-year stalactite floated into his mouth. It is about to open its mouth to say thanks. Jin Chan opened his mouth and said, "Don't talk, hurry up and refining. When you finish refining, the injuries on your body should be almost healed." When the golden monkey heard it, he quickly sat down cross-legged, obediently refining the medicine of 10,000 years of stalactite. "Brother Gold Coin, I want to drink too." Seeing that Jin Chan generously gave Jin Ape a drop of 10,000-year stalactite, the treasure hunter Dabao shouted with bright eyes. For humans, perhaps one drop of ground milk is enough, because after it is used, it will develop drug resistance. But for their strange beasts, it is a great tonic, and there are no side effects. This is also the reason why Jin Chan can reach the catastrophe period by drinking stalactite for 10,000 years in 100 years. "Well, Dabao sister, you are free, but the boss, you can only drink one drop, because you are human," Jin Chan said generously. After finished speaking, Jin Chan suddenly thought that the boss was unusual. If the boss really has the blood of a different animal, or the blood of a god, one drop may not be enough. Hearing Jin Chan's words, the treasure hunter happily leaped to the side of the pond with 10,000-year stalactites and drank. As I said earlier, the ground milk is a condensation of the essence of the earth. It produces one drop every 10,000 years without any side effects after taking it. For the alien beast, this pond of ground milk is the cultivation base and energy. One drop has been condensed in 10,000 years. The ground milk in this pond is not known for how many years have passed. Even in the fairy world, it is relatively rare. Ground milk, also known as stalactite, the legendary essence of the earth bread, is divided into three kinds: centenary milk, 1,000-year ground milk, 10,000-year ground milk. 100 years of ground milk, a drop of 100 years of condensation. After ordinary people take it, it has the effect of lightening body and prolonging life. After taking the cultivator, it can be worth 10 years of hard work. Alternatively, alchemy can increase the chance of success. 1,000-year ground milk, a drop of 1,000-year condensed. Ordinary people take it, it has the effect of washing the meridians and cutting the veins, reborning and reborn, preventing all diseases, and prolonging life. Those who have not yet practiced can directly build the foundation, and those who have already practiced can be worth 30 years of hard practice. 10,000 years of earth milk, one drop of 10,000 years of condensed, is also called ground milk essence. Regardless of whether it is taken by ordinary people or cultivators, it has the effect of changing aptitude and enhancing spiritual roots. Of these three types of ground milk, the first two types are still circulated in a small amount in the realm of comprehension, but the third type has long been extinct. Is rarely spread even in the fairy world. These are things that the current Jin Chan doesn't know, because he grew up drinking ground milk since he was a child. In addition, in his inherited memory, although there were no bad streets in ancient times, there are definitely a lot of ground milk. But I didn't expect that this is not the ancient times at all, and the things that were not lacking at that time have long become a treasure that is hard to find. Seeing the treasure hunter Dabao going to drink the essence of ground milk, Jin Chan turned his head, but found that Wang Zhen was still standing there motionless, so he asked, "Boss, why don't you drink it?" Wang Zhen heard this and said embarrassedly, "Didn't you say that I can only drink 1 drop? But I don't have a container, how can I drink it?" "Well, this is easy to handle." When Jin Chan heard it, his mind moved, and he wrapped a drop of earth milk essence with his divine mind and flew towards the royal formation. Wang Zhen opened his mouth subconsciously, and the essence of the ground milk automatically entered his mouth. Then, he only felt an indescribable fragrance filling his mouth. Then, the supernatural powers in the body are automatically activated, bringing his mental power into the cellular microscopic state. When he came to his own cell world, Wang Zhen found that the cells were unprecedentedly active at this time. "I saw the cells in front of me one by one, as if they had taken aphrodisiacs. In a blink of an eye, they changed from the size of a basketball to the size of a desktop, and they continued to expand. Just as the king formation was worried about whether the cells would explode if they expanded like this. The cell seemed to have reached its limit and suddenly stopped swelling. Then the cell wall began to thicken slowly. It can be seen through the cell wall that the cell nucleus in the middle of the cell wall also began to move from its original motionlessness, and began to rotate slowly like a snowball. As it began to rotate slowly, the nucleus also slowly changed. Big. When entered the microscopic world last time, the cell was only the size of a basketball, and the nucleus in the middle of the cell was only the size of a ping-pong ball, but as it slowly turned, the nucleus became the size of an ordinary apple and the size of a ping-pong ball visible to the naked eye. There is more than this one. Under Wang Zhen's microscopic sight, all the cells around him are like an aphrodisiac. They grow crazily to the size of a desktop, and the cell nucleus grows to the size of an ordinary apple. Seeing this, Wang Zhen's heart moved, and his consciousness was attached to a cell. Seriously, he hadn't studied it carefully after he had obtained the power for so long. After was attached to the cell, Wang Zhen only felt a flower in front of him, and his vision became blurred. Under the vague induction, the cells are filled with a large number of white light spot particles and some smaller black particles. After the light particles approached his cell wall body, they merged into his cell wall like water. After that, he felt that his cell body seemed to have grown a little bit. And those black particles, under the squeeze of the light particles, are far away from the cells. Seeing this, Wang Zhen made a bold guess. Could it be that these white light particles are the legendary spiritual energy of heaven and earth? So, what are those black ones? The king formation was puzzled. He just thought about it just now, but never thought that he could really be attached to a cell. Having obtained the power for so long, he always thought that he could only control the cell, but he never thought that he could even be attached to the cell and become a cell. It's really possible, the white particles in front of me must be the legendary aura of heaven and earth. Wang Zhen observed for a while and came to this conclusion. As early as when he was on earth, the king formation had paid attention to various myths and legends. Whether it is cultivating immortals, cultivating demons, or cultivating martial arts, it is inseparable from the spiritual energy of this world. It can be seen that the aura has a long history. After entering the dragon group, Wang Zhen also checked a lot of information either openly or secretly. Finally came to a conclusion, that is, the earth must have been a cultivation planet before. Before the Shang dynasty, there were legends about immortals and gods everywhere. Later, the king of Wu cut down and started the battle of conferring the gods. Then, cultivation began to rise, and until the Qin dynasty, 100 schools of thought contended, and various cultivation methods emerged one after another. Unexpectedly, the Emperor Qin burned his books and confided in Confucianism, and since then, his cultivation has declined. Since then, martial arts have flourished, and various genres of martial arts have blossomed everywhere, until the Ming dynasty, Zhu Yuanzhang became the emperor, first killed a large number of martial arts people who followed, and then ordered Lu Boan to cut off the dragon veins everywhere. So, the martial arts also broke most of the inheritance. Then, after the reform and opening up, we entered the era of science and technology. Under the deliberate downplay of the government, all kinds of cultivation and martial arts have become legends. Even if 1 or 2 inheritances are left occasionally, they are compiled by the state, and they are not allowed to appear in the sight of ordinary people. But no one knows that there are a large number of martial arts cheats in the country's treasury, and there are also some incomplete cultivation cheats, lying quietly there. Only those who work for the country, or those with abilities, can borrow them with their usual mission points, and ordinary people can't see it at all. The martial arts cheats are fortunate, even if they are incomplete, they can still be practiced by learning from other techniques. Reading www.yukanshu.com. But since there are few secrets for cultivating, plus the fact that they can't sense the legendary aura at all, so no one has gone to practice for a long time. Wang Zhen also tried the cultivation cheats, but later gave up because he couldn't sense the aura. The only time I sensed the existence of aura was after knowing Dabao, among those precious jade. I thought about it so much, but it was just a moment. Wang Zhen discovered that the energy particles around the cells are gradually decreasing as the cells absorb. And the cell, after absorbing those energy particles, the cell wall becomes thicker and the cell nucleus becomes bigger and bigger, but the black particles have long since disappeared. Wang Zhen looked at it and guessed that the energy of that drop of ground milk had been absorbed by his own cells, so he retreated from the microscopic phenomenon. Wow, it smells so bad. As soon as he returned his consciousness to his body, Wang Zhen felt a stench in front of him. Opened his eyes and saw Dabao, Jin Ape, and Jin Chan all looking at him from far away. Seeing him wake up, Dabao, who likes to stick to him the most, did not come to him the first time. But, far away, squeaking with his fingers. The boss smells so bad, Dabao doesn't like it. Then, Jin Chan also said, "Boss, the Wanyan milk that you have just taken has the effect of washing the meridians and cutting the veins and regenerating the bones. If you have spiritual roots in your body, it is more useful for purifying spiritual roots. But now, you should go and wash it, it's too stinky." Hearing Jin Chan's words, Wang Zhen looked down and finally knew the source of the smell. I saw that its original wheat-colored body was covered with a thick layer of black material, exuding a smell that was worse than the fermentation of a dead corpse.